I think we got that. We should just move ahead.
All right. All right. So let me say that again, right, for the sake of that recording that just started. Right. So I was saying that control flow, okay, is basically the process or the technique we use to alter the execution flow of our program. Right. Now I said that by default, all right, Python will execute your set of instructions step by step in the order in which that instruction is being given. Now let's assume you have, let's say, about 5 lines of instructions. And let's say your line 1 says display a certain email, a certain message. Line 2 also says display a certain message. Then line 3 now says get a certain information from user. And then line 4 now says add 10 to that information. And then line 5 now says display the result of that addition, right? Now, by default, Python will execute that line one after the other, from the first message to the second message to getting the input to adding it up and then to doing what, to displaying that result. Now, control flow now comes in to help us alter that flow. And you may be wondering why on earth would we want to alter a flow of execution? All right. Now, when we start to build complex program, or yes, when we start to write complex code, right, there are times that we want a certain portion of our code to execute when a certain event take place. All right. Or should I say there's a point that we want a certain portion of our code to repeat until a certain event is met or until a certain criteria is what is met. That is where control flow comes in. And under control flow, we have conditionals and loop. Loop is for next class, right? For this class, we are going to focus on conditional, a subsection or a part of Python control flow. Did that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Should I say that again? All right. So I believe that actually did make sense. All right. So now let's look at question. All right. No question.
No, sir, it did not make sense. So
okay. All right. All right. Let me say that again. All right. Let me say that again. Right, okay, let's go to ideally. All right, let's go to, okay, so I said that.
Sir, please, sir, sorry to cut you in. Sir, this is beginners class now, and we are not this are teach like you're teaching beginners. Okay, we don't know anything
all right, okay,
about this thing. No. Please
okay,
help us out, sir.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Hello.
That's fine.
Hello, sir.
Right, that's fine. Yeah.
I think so as long as you are explaining with your mouth, it will not always make sense. I feel like maybe if you use a program to illustrate that,
yeah,
it will make
that's
sense.
where we are going to, right? That's where we are heading to. We are heading to our VS Code. So I said that in our last class that we won't be using our ideally again. We'll be using this wonderful code editor, VS Code, right? That has wonderful functionalities compared to our basic ideally program. So I will launch mine, which I have, but I will launch a new one, a fresh window. All right, to install VS Code or to install this code editor that I'm actually using, it's quite simple. You simply go to your Chrome, right? And then you just search for download VS Code for Windows or for Mac, whichever one you're using. And it's quite simple. Once you, of course, the first link should take you to this page, and then you can download the appropriate file for you. For Windows, just click on here and get downloaded. Then for those on Linux, you either, if you're on Ubuntu or Debian, you can download the .db file, and then you run your installation well, and same thing goes for Mac, and then that will get installed for you. All right. So back to control flow. Right now, let's put on a simple program. Right, let's put on a simple program here, and I'll put a new file, and I'll call this file class2.py. Remember, all Python files have the extension of .py, right? And I will save this file somewhere in my desktop and somewhere in KodeCamp for beginners. All right, I'll put that there. All right, so we can simply write our Python code here. So similar to what we did in our last class, print hello world, and we will simply execute by clicking on that arrow there that looks like play button, and it will run the Python file in terminal for you, which is what you have right there. That's the result of your program, hello world. All right. So okay, so let's put in multiple instructions, right? Let's say we have another line of code. Let's say, so the beautiful thing about VS Code is that you can duplicate lines quickly compared to our ideally by simply doing Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and that will just repeat that for you. So I'll change this to hello world, and I'll change this to hello class. This will be how are we doing, and this would be a response. So I could call this response. Remember, to get message from user, I could simply use the input function, and then in between the bracket, I could pass the appropriate message I want the user to see when filling in this response, right? So in here, I would say type how you feel. Okay, so that could be our set of instructions. Okay, and that instructions there is what is about 4 lines of instruction, right? And it's being written in a specific syntax, in a syntax that Python can do or can interpret, right? Now, if I should execute this code, by default, Python will do what? Will execute your first line by displaying what? Hello world, and then check again, is there additional line? Of course, there is. And then it do what? It will also execute the next line, and which is also what? A print function or a print instructions. So it will do what? It will display hello class, and then it will check again, is there additional lines as well? And if there is, which of course there is, which is also what? A display instruction again that will do what? That will display how are we doing, right? And then it will do like that till it gets to the last line. Man, this is actually being done quickly in milliseconds, right? So even if you have like about 10,000 lines of code here, Python will execute that line as quickly as possible in few seconds or less than a second, depending. So when we execute this now, right? When we execute this now, you see that it's of course show in our terminal. So what happens is it display what? Hello world, right? It display what? Hello class, right? And it display what? How are we doing, right? And then the next line is what? Type how you feel. And if you look at after the colon in type how you feel, there is a cursor there waiting for someone to type, right? Because we've used what? The input function, and we know that the input function is used when we intend to do what? To get information. And in this case, I could basically type anything of my choice, right? Because okay, in this case, we are asked to type how we feel, and I will say I feel great, right? I will say great, and that's that. So that is how input function works. Miss Joyce, I want to assume that Joyce is a miss. Please go ahead and
All right,
ask the question. Your hand is raised.
Yes, I want to ask a
Good day.
question. Yes,
Okay.
sir. So I'm running my code, but it's not showing in my terminal. It's showing in my output instead.
Are you using VS Code or you using ideally?
VS Code.
It's not showing in terminal, it's showing in output.
Yes, sir.
This section here.
Yes, sir.
Did it actually execute the instructions?
Yes, he executed them.
All right, so switch to terminal and see if it does execute the instruction as well. But if it does show in your output, there's no problem at all.
Okay,
Confirm
okay.
that it also shows in your terminal.
Okay. But it's not showing on my terminal. But it's showing in my output chart. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we could see how Python actually behaves there, right? It executes that instructions line after it's line by line, right? Line by line. So control flow now comes in and says that it can give us the ability to tell Python to do what, to execute a certain line and leave out a second line based on a certain criteria, right? Take for instance, I want to do what? I want to display the next instructions based on what, on how these are feel, right? So I could say type how you feel, and then in bracket I could give them the option of choosing to be happy, right? Or you can choose to be sad, right? Any of those emotion, right? So now, assuming I want to show the next instruction based on what the user has typed. Let's say I want to display a new information saying, if you're sad, okay, I want to tell you, do not be sad. Do not be sad, right? And then if you're happy, I want to show you what? I want to show you it's good to be happy, right? So that's about 6 lines of instructions. But do you know what happened? What happens is that if we execute this code, question. Someone has committed. All right. Please, if you have a question, all right, you simply just show by raising your hand, then I'll ask you to unmute, all right? So we don't have to be cutting ourselves up and down, right? Thank you very much. All right, so now we have about 6 lines of instructions there, right? That has been written in a specific syntax, right? In a language that Python itself can do what, can interpret, and your device can do what, can understand and execute it as well, right? Now, if I execute this code one more time, of course, it does the same thing again. It executed what? The hello world, which is what, your first instruction. And then it checked, is there the next instruction? Yes, it is. Yes, there is. So what happened? And next one is what, is to display what? Hello class, which is what has happened here. Hello what? Class, right? And the next instruction is what? How are we doing? And which is what we have here. And then the next instruction would simply just display this. But here we did what, we make use of what, of the input function rather than the print. And we know that the input function is used when we intend to do what, to get certain information or get a message from what, from external body, that's from the user, from someone that's using your system. All right, you can use the input function to do what, to interact with them, right? And then within the input parentheses, we do what, we pass the appropriate message or the appropriate question that we intend for them to do what, to fill in. So in this case, we ask them how they want to type, how they are feeling. And so the way the input function works, when Python gets to where you have the input function, it stays there. So you can see here that this other line have not been executed yet. Because of what? Because above those lines we have what, the input function. And the way the input function works, it's your Python program will stay there until you do what? Until you hit your enter key. Because upon striking your enter key, it assumes that you have filled in the appropriate information. All right, so it's waiting for what? For your enter key. So that's why that program is still stagnant, or is still waiting there. It's waiting for you to type and then do what? Click the enter key. Because now if I type and then I do not click the enter key, the program still stays there because it's assumed that you're not yet done typing, or you still have more information that needs to be what, to be entered. So it waits till you do what? Till you strike your enter key. The moment you strike your enter key, it continues executing till it gets to what? To the last line of your code. And then assuming I type in happy here, right? And then I click what? Enter. You see that what happened? It executes the remaining line of instructions, and which is what? Do not be sad, and also it is good to be happy, which is what we have here, right? Which is what we have there, right? If that was the case, right? If that was what we intended to do, that would have been perfect. But at this point, we intend for what? To show a specific message based on a specific what? Criteria. So in that case, we want to alter that flow of what? Of execution, right? By simply telling Python, if the user should be happy, I want to only show this line. All right, line 8. Do not show line 7. But if the user is sad, right? I want you to do what? To show line 7, but do not show line 8. That way, you have done what? You have altered that flow of execution. Are we making sense? Question. Question.
Good evening,
No question.
sir.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Yeah,
evening.
yeah, I had network issues and I came back again to see all of these things displayed. Please, can you direct me on how we go here?
Okay. Okay. No point. That will be done. That will be done.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Yes,
Any
sir.
other
I
question?
sent a picture of what my visual code looks like. I don't know. It looks like yours though, but it's enlarged, and I don't know why it's like that. I sent a
It's,
picture in the chat box.
yeah, I've seen that picture now, and your font is quite big. You can reduce this font by simply doing Control and dash on your keyboard. Control with dash will reduce the font.
Control
Like,
and
have you
dash.
seen
Okay.
mine? Now, if you do Control
Okay, sir.
and equal sign, it will increase this font, right?
Okay. Okay.
All right, so let me recap again for the miss that actually the network push that out of the core. All right, so let me come again. So I'm saying that the default behavior of Python programming is this, right? Python by default will do what? Execute your instructions line by line from line 1 all the way to the very last line of what instruction. Even if it's about 10 million lines of instruction, it will execute from that first line all the way to the last line, okay? Now, to you, the lines are quite much. To Python, the lines are quite small because it will execute all those lines in milliseconds, right? In milliseconds. Now, we're not saying that at times that there is need that we want to do what to alter that behavior of what of Python. What do I mean? Assuming we have these instructions here, about 8 lines of instructions, and then if we execute these instructions, right, by default, what will happen? Python will execute it from line 1 all the way to what? To the last instructions, right? So if we execute this, okay, if we execute this, what happens? We could see that. Let me close this up. Okay, let me close and start it again. If I execute this again, we see that this has been executed quickly in few seconds, in milliseconds, right? So what happens is that Python went to your first line, right? And it saw what? Display hello world. And then it came back and did what? And displayed hello world. It now went ahead and checked again. Is there any instruction left? Of course, there are other instructions. And the next one was what? To do what? To actually display hello class. And that's what has happened here. Hello what? Class. And then it went ahead again to check, is there any other instructions? Of course, there is still more of them there. And next one was what? To display how are we doing? And that's what we have here. How are we doing, right? Then the next one is to do what? To actually not display, but then to get information from external bodies, from the user that will use this software. And then what are we getting? We are asking them what to do, what to type how they are feeling by doing what, how they feel, right? By doing what, by either choosing if they're happy or they are sad. So because this is the input function, and the way input function works is that when Python encounters the input function, it will stay there for as long as it can stay. It will stay there to the end of time, right? And wait for what? And wait for the user to do what? To strike the enter key. The enter key is what helps Python knows, okay, you finished typing and you're ready to proceed on to the next line of code. That's why you can see that this our program has not yet executed, or this program is still executing, but yet it has been paused, or it's actually waiting for what, for the enter key, so it can proceed to what, to the remaining lines of what, of instructions that we have there. All right. So far I've not typed anything, and even if I'm to type happy, all right, or type anything of my choice, right, it will still stay there because have not clicked the enter key. I can still click the enter key without typing anything, and it will still move, right? It doesn't really it's not really interested if that place is filled or not filled, or you fill with the right thing or not fill with the right thing. It's just waiting for what, for the enter key. The moment you strike that enter key, it moves, right? Whether you made a mistake typing or not, it won't come back, right? It just moves, right? So I'll just type happy here, right? And then I'll click on what, enter key, and what happened, it went ahead to execute the remaining instruction, which was to display what, do not be sad, and also to also display it is good to be happy. And that's what we have here, right? So that was how we arrived there. So that is the default behavior of Python. But then I'm now telling us that there are times that we want to alter this behavior, right? And now say, in this case, assuming I want to show do not be sad only when the user has typed in what, sad here, right? I want to show do not be sad. So in that case, I do not want Python to do what, to execute this other line. I have done what, I have altered that flow. And also I want to show it is good to be happy, right? Only when the user have typed in happy, meaning that Python will execute this line and then skip this line, line 7, and do what, and execute line 8. That way I have done what, I have also altered the flow of execution. Do we understand? So that is the challenge that we are having now. And Python has done what, has given us question.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I understood all of these parts. My issue is this doesn't look like IDLE. So I don't know what particular part of Python is this. I'm trying to understand.
Okay. So if were you there in our last class, Miss, who had the question?
Yes, Miss Precious. I was in the
Miss
last
Precious.
class, sir.
Okay, so in the last class, I said that moving forward, that we won't be using ideally. This is our ideally right here. That I only introduced this ideally because I want us to see the simple environment that Python has given us for writing of code. But then I said that this ideally is quite stressful because there's some, just basic, right? It's basic. There's some functionality that can aid in writing your code, and ideally does not actually provide those features. So I said that after that class, we move to VS Code, another code editor that we will use for our Python classes, right? So I said that after that class, we won't be using ideally again, right? So one benefit of that, we'll be using VS Code, right? One benefit of VS Code is that that it can actually do autocomplete for you. You have the ability to duplicate, to copy and paste quickly. Like assuming I want to copy this line and paste it, I don't have to highlight this line to copy it and then go to where I want to paste it and start pasting, right? Right. With VS Code, I could just simply do Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and that will keep duplicating for me. So there's some wonderful features that VS Code actually offers, and I said that moving forward we'll be using VS Code. And
Yes.
and if you don't have VS Code, it's quite simple to have one. What you could just do is that you will go to Chrome and then you will search for download VS Code right? Or for Mac. Now, once you arrive in the download section of VS Code, depending on your operating system, you click on any of that button and it will download VS Code for you. And then you can start writing your Python code.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Any other question?
Let me go to my quarter.
All right, Ms. Joyce, your hand is up. Mr. Joyce, are you having a question?
Hello, good evening, sir.
All right, Ms. Joyce, please go ahead.
Yes, so I'm trying to write out that happy in the output section and it's not allowing me to write. They say I cannot edit.
I'm finding it quite hard to hear you, Miss Joyce. You said that you're trying to
Please,
write out
guys.
those instructions, and
Yes, in the output, because I said my code is coming out in the output instead of the terminal. So I'm trying to edit in the output and it's not allowing me to.
all right. So
edit.
yeah, you can't actually edit an executing program. So this is the result of your code execution. So you can't edit that execution or that result, but you can edit the code itself. So you can go back to your code and you edit it and execute it again, and it will correct whatever you intended to actually
Okay.
correct.
Alright, so what I'm actually saying is that after you wrote the input, type your how you feel. That
Okay.
happy that you wrote here in the terminal, I'm not able to write it out here in the output.
All right. So I didn't actually write this in the terminal. I went back to my code and I typed it here, and then I executed the code again, and that actually the correction did happen. So if I remove this again from here and then I
Hello,
close
sir.
my terminal and run this again, you can see that correction is gone. You can see that it's no longer there. It's gone. So I have to go back to my code again and do what I'm putting it back and then close
Hello,
my
sir.
terminal and run it again. And that changes will take effect, like what has just happened there.
Hello, sir.
Is that okay? Yes, please go ahead and ask a question.
No, it's not a question. I think I understood what she meant, and unfortunately, I've used VS Code before, so I
Okay.
think output does not allow you to do input. So it works only on terminal. So I kind of know a way to go about it.
Okay, please go ahead, shoot.
So if you may. So,
Yes, please.
so please just go to settings and type running terminal.
Alright, thank you. I'll do that. Thank you.
You go to settings and do running terminal. Check settings at the if you look at this screen, you will see it's bottom left. Yeah, that's bottom left. Then you open settings and type running terminal. You tick the box.
Alright, let me do that. I'll get back to you. Thank you.
All right. So, Ms. Joyce, I believe that should solve your problem. Is that okay?
Yes, I'm doing that now.
All right. All right. Perfect. Perfect. No, I did not download any extension to run my Python code on VS Code. If you're having difficulty running Python with your VS Code, which you should not have, but if I thought you're having it, then that means you're having problem with your Python installation, because by default, VS Code will go to the default Python installation directory, so it can do or help you run your Python code. But if you have your Python installed correctly and it's not still running your Python code, what you simply do is you simply use the command Control plus Shift plus P, and it will bring out a box like this. And what you want to type interpreter, and then you should see select interpreter. Then once you click on it, then you should be able to see your path, your Python path. Then you can just pick it on this one available, and then your Python should start executing here. All right. Any other question? Any other question? Okay, so the silence means there is no other question. All right. So now let's see how we can do what alter this flow of execution using what we call conditionals in Python. Well, conditional is not only specific to Python. Conditionals is a generic thing. It cut across all programming languages, from JavaScript to Java, C++, C Sharp, C itself. or they all have conditionals. The difference is how they are being structured. So in Python, we also have conditionals, and the way it's being structured is, don't worry about the notes. When the slide is being released, you can come here and read this note, of course. So now the way conditionals is being structured in Python, okay, is we make use of what? Of three keywords. We have the if keyword, we have the elif keyword, and we have what? The else keyword. Now, one thing to note again is that when you see keywords or built-in functions, please, we cannot use that. Question? Yes, question.
Okay.
David, can please go ahead and ask the question.
No, this was a mistake. I don't have any question.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm saying that in Python, conditionals are being structured using three main keywords, right? We have the if, we have the elif, we have the else. Don't worry, I'll show you how that can be used and how you can use it to do what, to construct these conditions. Okay, now, so I'll copy this to our VS Code for reference sake. So you can reference it there. So you don't have to be switching between slide and VS Code. Okay, so I'll copy this point and take it to our VS Code, and I'll paste it somewhere here. Now remember that in Python, that what the pound is what is comments in Python? How do we do comments in Python?
You use the hash symbol or
instructions. Exactly, the hash symbol. So we use the hash symbol, and it will, and Python will automatically ignore that entire line. All right. So that is comments in Python. Comments are kind of notes for programmers that we as programmers use. All right. And the interpreter has absolutely no business with it. All right. So we are going to look at the if specifically. So I'll copy one more thing from here down there. So I need this, and we'll break it down. Okay. So let's start with the if keyword. The if keyword. Comment this out as well. The if keyword. All right. So now we know that in Python we have what, that three main keywords are used to construct what's conditionals. Three main keywords can be used for constructing what's conditionals. Now, one more point to note is that when you see keywords or built-in function, please, we cannot use it as variable names. Of course, Prince here looks like a valid variable name because it does not start with number, and it does not have special characters apart from underscore. So it's valid for a variable name, but please do not use it for a variable name, please. Same thing goes with the if, the elif, and the else. They are all valid variable names, but please do not use it as your variable names. Please, those are reserved words. When Python will interpret those particular words differently, right? So it may cause problem in your programming. Please do not use those reserved words. Don't worry about the list of reserved words when we proceed. When you start to write complex code, right, or we start writing code, and then we keep using this word repeatedly, we will automatically know that this word is Python reserved word, and we cannot use it for variable naming. All right. One more, that's put that to as a feed law or as a feed rule in your variable naming. You cannot use reserved word in your variable naming. Not that it will not work. It may work. It will work, but then it's very likely going to cause problem in your code because Python is very likely going to interpret it as something else. Is that okay? All right. So looking at if, let's start with the if keyword. So how does the if work? Now, the way the if works is that the if is actually used to check if a specific condition is true. All right. Don't worry, what I just said is there in the slide. When you get the slide, you can read it through. So just know that the if is used to check, right, if a specific condition is true. Let me set an example. Let's assume I want to end the call if I realize that I am a female. So what happens? I will now go and check my gender. If I'm a female, I automatically end this call, right? But since I'm not a female, this call will do what? Will keep going, right? That's how the if work. So when you use the if, it expects you to do what? To add what? A condition. So the moment you type if and leave it there, if you execute this code, it throws an error, because when Python sees if, it automatically expects you to give it a condition, because it will be that condition that Python will use to know if it should carry out a certain action or not. But then you may be wondering, what exactly is condition in programming, not just in Python, in programming as a whole? What is condition? Is anybody that wants to give a try? Anybody that wants to give a try? Anybody that wants to give a try? What is condition in programming? Okay, what do you understand by condition? Leave the concept of programming. What do you understand by condition? No one. All right, fine. Let's continue. So condition in programming is basically any expression that will do what? That will result in a Boolean result. What do I mean? If I type any expression, what is basically expression? Expression could be anything. It could be 5 plus 6. It could be 10 plus 100. It could be 2 times 4 minus 3 plus 10, right? That could be expression, right? This could be expression. But then for this to be considered a condition, the result of this expression must equate or must result in a Boolean value. What is a Boolean value? Boolean values are basically your truth table, your true and false, T and F. So if you carry out this expression, right, and the result of that expression will give us a true value or a false value, that expression can be considered as a condition. Should I say that again? All right. So any expression that we carry out that will evolve, or that will result, sorry, in a truth value, that expression can be considered as a condition in programming, right? So of course, clearly looking at these expressions, we can tell that none of that expression can be considered as what? As a conditional, as a condition, or as a conditional statement. Okay, so the trick is that the only operators that we can use within an expression that will surely evolve in a truth value are conditional operators. And what are conditional operators? These are the operators that we were using back then in high school. Those operators that look like this. What's this? What sign is that?
Greater
What
than.
sign? Greater than, exactly. This other sign is what?
Less than.
This other one.
Greater than or equal to.
Okay, this other one.
Equal to or less than.
Oh, sorry, I think that I put that wrong. Sorry. It should be this, that. What's that?
Less than or equal to.
Less than or equals to. How about this?
Equal to.
Equal to. That means equality. It's the same, right? So these are basically the operators that we can likely use to do what? To construct condition. There are more of them. As we proceed further, we start seeing other operators that when we use them, they are very likely going to result in a truth value, in a truth or false value. So invariably, or in other words, right, we can use all these plus and subtraction, multiplication operators to construct condition. They can never result to what? To a true or false value. But instead, these operators here is what we are likely going to use, and then we'll see how we can construct it, and it will give us true or false value. So I'll take this one off since those operators cannot help us at this moment. So I'll comment on this for referencing as well. All right. So now having those operators in mind, let's see how we can do what? Use them. So back to our problem that we had. So we want a situation where, depending on if a user type this, happy or sad, we can know the appropriate line to do what? To execute, right? We can know the appropriate line to do what? To execute. So having that in mind, I remember your instruction must come line in line. Like, remember, like your Python will execute this in line after line after line after line. All right. And then if you put your condition down here, it means that this line here will do what? Will execute before the condition itself, right? So the whole thing that we are trying to actually or prevent will end up being what happening. Right. So in that case, we want a situation that our condition must come in here before even doing what? Choosing if any of those lines there, right? So that means the appropriate place to put our condition is above those lines, immediately after what the input instructions there, right? But then we can also remember that in our last class, I said that if we have our input like this, that whatever the user types in there, we cannot do what? Access it again. It is lost in space because we have no way of doing what? Of accessing that value. So and I said that we can assign the input function to what? To a variable, so we can show that so that the value they can be saved to that variable name, right? So instead of us forcefully saying that let mode, assuming our variable name is mode, let mode be equals to what? Happy. We want, because this us doing what? Coding this or forcefully making mode to what? To be happy. Right. So now what do we want? We want a situation where mode can be typed or can be dynamic. So in that case, we can make, instead of our value to be happy, our value can now be what? Input. So this should be mode equals to input. So this should be mode equals to what? Input. Is there a question to how we did that magic there, or why we did that? Anybody that does not understand why we did that? Is there anyone?
Sir, please repeat what you said. I didn't quite follow.
No one. So we all understand why we had to accept. Okay. All right. So let me set up again. All right. Okay. No, I'm not saying that as now we have what? We have the input value there. Let me leave that for now. Okay. We have the input value there, right? Now, assuming I execute this man, and then I type in let's say happy, right? Now, the whole reason why we want to interact with user or provide a room where user can type in is so that we can have access to what the user can do or can type in. Probably the rest of our program is depending on what the user does what typing, right? It could be that. So in that case, we need a way of accessing whatever I type in. Even if I type this, I should be able to access that. My program should find a way of having that value. So if I just type happy now, and then I continue the code, I cannot access this happy. There's no way within my code, or there's no way I can now say, okay, that the user want to type happy. So let me just construct the happy and put it inside my code. I cannot, right? So the only way I can have access this value is that if I should assign this operation to what we call a variable, which we talked about in our last class, right? So remember, we said that a variable is basically any name that contains what? A value. So that means for something to be a variable, there must be a name and there must be a value assigned to it, right? So for a valid variable in Python must carry a name along with what? With the value. Example, A equals what? 10, B equals what? 20, C equals 30. Those are valid variables because it has a name. The name can be anything, right? As far as it obeys the naming convention of variables in Python. So it must have a name alongside with the equality sign, alongside with the value that comes with it, right? So with variables like this, I mean I can simply do what? Get the value of whatever A is. In this case, I can get the value of A by saying print A, right? If I execute, let me comment the rest of these things out. So we only deal with that. So if I execute this, right? If I execute this, I have what? I have 10. That's because the value of A is what? Is 10. We forcefully assign 10 to A. We now say, let A hold the value what? 10. So it means that anywhere within my program, even if I move to line 100 and whatever, and say print A, I will still have my what? My A. In this case, this is the first print A, and this is the last one, and the line 70 print A there. Right? So within anywhere in my program at all, I can still have the value of A. But then what we did up there, what we did up there is that we forcefully did what? Assign the value 10 to A. We also forcefully did what? Assign the value 20 to what? To B. We did the same thing with what we see. So now we're not saying that what if the user, because they are being a system for what? For someone else to use. You are a programmer, you won't be the one using the system. Someone else will come in and use the system. So you cannot force rules on people. Though yes, you can actually control them or you can manage them to obey your system, but then you are forcing them, right, to do what? To accept a specific value. What if I'm the user of your system and I say that I want my own A to be 50? I will now come and tell you, the developer, please give me access to your code. Let me go to your A and change it to what? To 50. That would make sense, right? So we need to provide a way that we can make this value not to be hard-coded, but then to be dynamic. So in that case, knowing that the input function is used to get value, can't I change that to what? To input. If I change this to input, wouldn't that make that place to be an open space for A? So it means that if I execute this now, see, there is a cursor there. Then me type the value for what? For A. Now, if I type 100 based on my own terms, and if I execute this, I now have what? 100 being what? The value of my A. Another user will also come and say, okay, I want my own A to be what? To be 50. Now, I want my own A to be what? To be 50. So if I come here now and I type 50, I also have what? 50. So thereby making what? The A what? Dynamic. All right, making that A to accept any value. So in that way, we don't hard code it. We make it an open space for users, right? So we are having that in mind, or having that same idea in mind. We are going back to our code. Please, have I answered the question? And the person asked the question.
Yes, sir. You have answered it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So now going back to our code, all right. Going back to our code, I can just simply say let mode, right? Let mode be equals to what? Happy. That is me forcing every that you must be happy. Someone who lost about 500 million come and I tell him, sir, you must be happy. How can I be happy? Right. So now we're not saying that we don't want to force mode on everyone. We want a situation where our mode can be what? Can be dynamic, where user can do what? Can type in their mode pending how they're feeling at the moment. So right, if I can now do, I can simply cut this now out of there and make it a value for the variable mode. So in this case, when Python execute this line, execute the hello world line, execute the hello, how are you doing line, it should now do what? Provide a room for a user to be able to key in their mode, and then we'll save that mode in a variable called mode. So it means that anywhere within my program, if I intend to get that mode or whatever is typed in there, I could just simply say print mode, and anywhere at all, whatsoever the user has typed in there, I'll get it. So if I type in happy, I'll get what? I'll get what? Happy. Right? If I type in sad, I'll get sad right there. Are we making sense? Is that making sense? All right, so the starlet actually means that is actually doing what? Making sense. All right. All right.
Sorry,
So
sir. So does that mean for conditional statement like this, we'll always use mode before we use the input value?
No. The mode date is just it's a variable, right? So for your condition, it depends on what you are trying to test for, right? It depends on what you're trying to test for, right? It depends on the program itself. This is just for illustration's sake, right? So here we are assuming that you want to execute a certain line based on someone's emotion at that point in time, if they're happy or they're sad. It could be a situation where you have to do what, where you have to grant someone access based on their age. In that case, what do you need? You need their age. You can also have a situation where you want to show a certain message based on height. So it means that there are people that should see this message depending on how tall they are. So it all depends. It all depends on the program itself, right? So this one here, in this case here, is what is mode dependent, right? In another program, it may be height dependent, age dependent, gender dependent, other factors depend. It all depends on you, the program, on what you are testing for. Well, what do you want to check in order to display a certain message? That's all up to you as the programmer. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now having that in place, where we can do what access the user's mode depending on what they do, what they typed in there. So I can now choose to do what, not to show a specific line depending on that mode. So now instead of doing this, of executing this, and everything will show the sad and the happy. So that if I'm sad, all right, if I'm sad, I will still see what they do not be sad, and also it's going to be happy, which doesn't actually make sense, right? I should see at least one message depending on if I'm sad or happy, right? So that is where what condition comes in, right? So I can now check, is this person sad? If it's sad, please show this. If it's not happy, or if it's happy, please do what? Show this. So back with our condition, with our if statement, which is used to check if a condition is what is true. So it only check if the result of that expression is true. The if statement has nothing to do with when that condition is false. Please note that the if is only interested in when it is true. It has no business when that condition is false. All right. So you following this syntax, of course, that is the structure that you should put your condition. So when Python sees the if keyword, it automatically, you could see that there's a red line showing there. Let me zoom this out a little bit. There's a red line showing there immediately after my if. It means that that statement is not complete. That the if is automatically expecting what? A condition. And what do you say is condition again? Any expression that must result in what? In true or false value. And the only operator that is very likely going to give us the other will definitely give us true or false value are what are these operators down here for now. When we move forward, we will see more operators. We will see more operators. Yeah, that's the energy there. All right, so now let's follow the condition now. Right now, how do we structure this condition? Remember, this condition is what is their expression, right? So it could be 5 greater than, or it could be 3, right? 3 greater than what? 5. What do you think this result to? What do you think this expression here will result to? True or false?
False.
False. All right. How about this? True or false?
False. False.
False. False. Any other thing? Something different? Is there anyone that's going for true? No one. Me, I will go for true. All right, so that will be false though. All right, so how about this? True or false?
True.
True.
Okay, exactly. That's perfect. How about this? True or false?
False.
False.
False. All right. False. That is false. That's because 3 is not the same thing as 5. All right. So having that logic in mind, we will also construct something similar. But here we will now give an expression that if mode, we don't really know what mode is, right? Because we are waiting for user to do what to type. we don't, at this point, we don't know what mode is or what mode will be, if it will be happy or sad. We only know that at that point, Israel will type something. And whatsoever Israel type, please do what? Save it in the Bible called mode. So depending on what Israel type, it is not our problem. Our problem here is that you want to carry what Israel typed, right, and check if it is what? Happy. We have absolutely no business with what mode is. Our own is to do what? Is to check if that mode or whatever is being typed is what is happy. If it is happy, right? If it is happy, I want us to do what? To show this line. To show that line. Now, you can notice that the line after the if is being indented automatically, or is being indented, or it should be indented. You could see this space here. You could see this space. Now, if I move this outside of that, you see that there's a red line there. Right? So the way if or the way conditional works is that if after the if statement, all right, after the if keyword, it expects what? The condition, which is any expression that should result in what? In true or false, right? Followed by what? Your colon. Very important syntax. But followed by what? Your colon. Now, the next line that should follow it should be the action that it should do what? Executed. That should execute if that what? If this expression happens to evaluate to what? To true. It means that if the user type in happy there, and then it now brings the happy and non-check is happy the same thing as happy. Of course, that is true. Please go ahead and do what? And execute this part of the code. Now, that part of the code that should execute or that should execute when that statement is true should be what? Should be indented or should be tapped in. You can use the tap key and push it in, or you can use 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I will say use tap. Tap this in, right? Do we understand? So I'll comment this out for now. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I do.
All right. All right. So now, if I execute this now, let's see now what happens. If I execute this now, of course, it will execute our line 1. Let me bring this down a little bit. Let me bring this terminal down a little bit, and then bring our code up. All right. So now you can see that we have what our line 1 was what? To print hello world, that display hello world. We have it there, right? The next instruction is what? Display how are we doing? We have it there, right? And line 3 is empty, line 4 is empty, so nothing will happen. So the number of spaces that you keep doesn't really matter. You can put spaces there, you can close it there. It all depends on you. What happens is that it goes for the instructions, not for the empty spaces. So the next instruction is what? Is this a variable called mode? But then the value of that variable is what? Is dynamic, because we have what? The input function that we must. It is a must, because the moment Python C must, we must put a value there, or we must do what? We must click the enter key. Whether we put a value or not put a value, it doesn't matter. But then we must do what? We must click enter key. If not, the code will do what? Will stay there till whenever the enter key is being punched. All right. So in this case, I will just say I am happy, right? And then I click what? Enter. And you see what happens. It went to the next instruction, and then what happened? It saw what? It saw the if statement, right? The if statement, and then of course Python knows this thing. This is his language. So the moment it sees if statement, if keyword, sorry, it automatically check for what? For the condition. So in that check, okay, oh, that here we have that you have to check what is mode. Of course, what I typed in here is what is mode, right? Is what I typed in there, or whatever is I typed in there, is it the same thing as what we have here? It is the same thing. Okay, if it's the same thing, okay, so this is the level of code, or these are the code as to what I should execute, and then what happens? It automatically shows what? It is good to be happy. Are we making sense? So if we intend to have more code to execute, depending when that question is true, we can still put the most just excuse me, pending when this depending when this condition is being evaluated, if it's true, all right, then it will execute this. And also, if we have more instructions to execute when the condition is true, we can put it in there as well. So we can put more condition, right? So it's not like we are only permitted to put only one condition, right? We can put it as many conditions as possible. Sorry, as many statements as possible, right? For that condition, you can also say this is when someone is happy, right? Now let's execute this again, right? And then this time around, let me type in what sad. And what happened? Nothing executed. Nothing happened. The code ended there. I think someone hand was raised at some point. Someone hand was raised. Question?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Chukwemeka Shedrack. I actually have a question on the aspect of that condition. What if when that prompt was made, that the person now decides to put the response in sentence form, not just in a word form, singular word? What happens? Is it possible for the algorithm to read the thing and then just pick the word and give the response?
Okay. Yes, it is possible. But at this level that we are, no, it's not possible. But it is possible, right? That can be done, right? But that's us going beyond the scope of basics of Python. All right. So what will happen is that, all right, let me put this down. What will happen is that, so let's assume that these are typed in, I am very happy, right? Now what happens is that it's assuming this is our mode now, right? It will carry this mode and do what, and still carry out the evaluation. Is I am happy, I am very happy, is the same thing as with happy. And of course, clearly this and this are not the same thing. So this will falsify this condition, and such these statements here will not execute. That's why if we use USSD, what happens is that they'll give us number to click number instead of what typing. But then if you want to tell that system, you can try one, do a USSD and then type, and then you will see that it will actually show an error, right? So at this basic stage, right, we are only interested in the user to type in this keyword, right? Or we could even make them do what, to use number by putting one there. It's similar to what we usually see, and put two here. So instead of them to type happy and sad, they can do what, type in numbers. Right? It all depends on how you intend to get those values. Right? But for now, if we type in a full sentence like this, it will evaluate that full sentence with just one word, and which both of them are not the same. As such, it will throw an error.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question? Any other question? All right. So no other question. So I believe we understand how the if works. Please, the if is only interested in when it is true. If for any reason this condition here is what is false, the if you never even bother to know what to execute, it will just leave the code there, and then move on to the next line of code if there were other lines of code. So we can see that we don't want that we've altered that flow of execution. Now Python can no longer execute from line 1 all the way to line 8, right? There is something that's blocking it here that will determine if it will go ahead to execute line 7 and line 8, right? That is conditionals, right? So let's try this one more time, and let me put in what sad, and you see that nothing does what happened. That is because sad is not the same thing as what happy. As such, the condition becomes what, false. And since if is only interested in when it is true, it has no business with what, with moving forward to do what, to execute the rest of the program. Are we making sense?
Yes,
all right,
sir.
perfect. All right, now let's handle another part, right? Another part, the part where the condition is no longer true. What if you intended to do something else when someone is sad, or yes, when someone is sad, right? Yes, you can still copy this again, right? You can still copy this again and paste it down there and change it to what to sad, right? And it will work. It will work, of course. But then you will violate the whole concept of condition, because the whole concept of condition is what is to execute a certain block of code once in every condition, meaning that assuming I save someone on an errand, right? And I'm telling you, go and get me a bottle of water. Okay, go and check if there's a bottle of water. If there is, please bring one bottle for me. Right? And then the person goes to a store to get the bottle of water, right? Upon arriving there is no bottle of water. The person will now come back again empty-handed and now tell me there is no bottle of water. And I tell the person, please go again and check. If there is a packet of biscuits, bring the packet of biscuits. That's the double point, right? That means the person have gone there twice, right? But then I could simply just save the person the stress of going there twice. By telling the person, by telling the person to do what? Go and check. If there's a bottle of water, bring me the bottle of water. But if there's no bottle of water, do what? Bring me a pack of biscuit. That way the person has to go there once and bring me either water or biscuit, right? But then if I now say go first, like go and check if there's a bottle of water, bring bottle of water. You now wait and check and then come back again and say there's no bottle of water. And then go again, go and check. That's exactly how this will work. If we copy this, and do what, and paste here and put sad. That is exactly how that thing works. It will check for if and still come back and check for this other one again. Right? But then we can save the program that stress by doing well, by using the other keyword called what? The else keyword. So the else is a keyword that we use to execute our portion of code only when the condition is what? Is false. So the else is just waiting, praying and hoping that this man here is what? Is false. So to use the else cannot be used alone, just like we did the if by coming to say else. You come here to say else, right? So you come here, I now say else, and then you now give your own condition, right? The else cannot stand on its own. Please note that else and if cannot stand on its own. These two men here, these two people here, these two statements here cannot stand on its own. These two statements must be used in conjunction with what? With the if statement, because those two statements are still hanging on the condition of the what? Of the if statement. So in that case, the else must be used with the if. That's why the if is not, there's no the else statement doesn't usually carry a condition. So to use the else statement, we simply just type else. Please note where my else is. It is outside that indentation. It's outside, because if you put the else inside the indentation, it simply means it is part of the code that should execute when that condition is what is true, which is not what we want. So we move out of the indentation and then we continue our else. Please note that you move outside of the indentation and continue your else. All right. Now the way else work, else is hanging, is waiting for what? For the if to be what? To be false. That's why the else does not carry any condition. So at that point, you can now do what? Also provide similar block of code for what? For the else structure. So that block of code is what we do, is what we execute only when what? This man here is what? Is false. So if I leave this like that, that would throw an error, because of each of these statements. You must provide what? The block of code to execute when the criteria is what? Is met. So in that case, I'll take this man up here and I'll leave it there. So it means that if you're not happy, it simply means that what? You are sad, right? So now if I run this again, and then this time around I put sad, you see that the program will still execute the other line, because there was an instruction that was set aside when someone is not what? Is not happy. If I click enter now, you see that we now see what? Do not be sad, without us saying what? It is good to be happy. Are we making sense? All right. Do we understand? Do
Yes,
we
sir.
understand?
I do understand, sir.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So I will assume everyone actually does understand. All right, so let's look at the last keyword, the elif keyword, and how it is being used. The elif keyword, how is it being used? Now, so the elif keyword is used when you have more than one condition. Assuming you want to test for more than one condition. Let's go back to the scenario I used. Let's assume I want to get bottled water again, right? And I say, Mr. Let me find someone, let me find someone, let me find someone. And I say, Mr. Gaius, please go to the store and do what and get me bottled water. Mr. Gaius can go to the store. Okay, go. Sorry, go to the store, check if there is bottled water, get me one bottle water. She will now go to the store, check if there's bottled water, she will get what? She will get one and bring it back. And then I can answer, okay, please go back and check again. If there is a pack of biscuit, please bring one. And that's Mr. Gaius going there twice, which I could simply tell Mr. Gaius, please check, go and check if there is a bottle water, bring one. But if there is not, bring packet of biscuit, right? Now all what Mr. Gaius has to go and check there, right, is to do what? Is to check for only bottled water. If it's there, he brings it. If not there, he bring what pack of biscuit without stress. But what if I needed bottled water and some other thing? I'll not tell Mr. Gaius, please go to the store, right? Check if there is bottled water, bring one. Also check if there is a bottle of wine, bring wine. Also check again if there is what else? What else do we in store? What else? Also check if there is a pack of gum, bring one pack. But if any of these things is not available, bring me what? A pack of biscuits. I've given him how many instructions? 3 instructions, 3 conditions, sorry. So it means that Mr. Gaius has to go to the store and make sure that he has confirmed those 3 instructions. Whichever one comes first, he will carry that one and come back. So if he goes there, check and asks, is there bottled water? And there's one, you bring up bottled water and come back and forget about the rest of the things. But if he goes there and check, is there bottled water? And they say no. Is there a pack of gum? I say yes. You get a pack of gum and come back and leave the rest. And then if he goes there again and check, is there bottled water? And they tell him no. Is there a pack of gum? And they say no. And then is there a pack of what else is it? What is it? What is that? And is there a bottle of wine? And there is one. Then you do what? He'll get a bottle of wine and forget about the rest and come back. But then what if he goes there, no wine, no pack of gum, no bottled water? Automatically means bring me a pack of what? Biscuit. Do we understand the logic there? Do you understand the scenario? All right, so I assume that we all understand the scenario. So the same thing is also applicable here, right? Same thing is also applicable here. I could also want to check. A user may not be happy, he may not be sad. Probably the user may be, which other emotion? Maybe angry, right? Maybe angry, right? What happens when the user is angry? Because the user may come and now say, I'm not happy, I'm not sad, I am angry. What do? We can also do what? Provide a room of checking for that condition, right? Because if we leave it like this, it's now what? A two-way something. It means that if you're not happy, any other emotion apart from happy, it simply means that what? You are sad. The way this code is now, it simply means what? You are sad. If you're not happy, it simply means you are sad. There's no two ways about it. But then is that can be anger as well, right? So in that case, what do? That's where elif comes in. Elif is only used when we have more than one condition to check for. And the way elif is used, elif cannot be used on its own. It must also come in conjunction with what? With the if statement. Because the elif, in order for the elif to execute, the if must be what? Must be false. So the elif comes after the if, but before your else. That's if you're using else. The elif must come immediately after your if. Right? So in that case, the elif will come here, not inside indentation, because if I put it there, it becomes what the part of code that should execute when you're happy. So I'll go outside again, the same way I do with else, and I'll put what my elif. And then since elif is used to check for multiple conditions, the elif also does what carry condition as well, right? The if and the elif carries condition. And as I said, condition is what any expression that must result. It is a must that it must result in what, in true or false, right? So I'll copy this same condition, but this time around I want to check what if you are what, you are sad, sorry, you're angry. Then I want to tell you that, okay, I want to tell you that anger is not good, right? But at that point, if a user is not happy or not angry, we want to automatically assume that you are sad, because that is where your else doable comes in. So how will this code now work? Of course, from line 1, Python doable will display hello world, and then move to the next instruction and display how are you doing, and then move to the next instruction and ask you type how you feel, if you're happy, sad, or what, or angry, right? And then move to the next instruction. In and check, are you happy, right? By comparing the mood, if it's the same with what, with happy. If you're happy, it tells you what, it is good to be happy. This is when someone is what, is happy. But then if it checks, you not type happy, you not type angry, do not do what, come on, it will do what, it will, here will not become what, false, and move the what to the next condition, because mood is what, mood is angry. So when it gets to the next condition, being what, the elif, in and checks, is mood angry. If it's angry, it does what, it checks anger, and then tells what, anger is not good. But if you now went and did like type, and you now type sad, it means you're not, it means that we cannot validate you in happy, neither can we validate you in what, in angry. So it automatically means that you must be here at this point, right? So let's execute this and let's see. So now if I should type happy, of course, you tell me what, it is good to be happy, this person is happy. So you can see that the program ends there. We've altered that from line 1 to the last line execution. It ends there because of what, of the conditionals, right? So this other part becomes what, false. So it did not do what, execute, and the program did what, ended there. But then what if I was not angry and not happy? I was not angry, not there, sorry. I was not angry here. It now tells me what, the anger is not good, and it ends there because that is the only condition that I have met that criteria. And then, of course, if I don't type something else, at times it might not even be the emotion. I might come here and type some gibberish, and you tell me what, it is not good to be sad. The reason is that this thing here did not match any of our conditions. So as such, the else did what, executed. Conditionals. Question. We have about 25 minutes to go. Question. Conditionals. No question. So it means we all understood. That's it. We all understood the whole concept of conditionals. All right. All right. That's perfect. That's perfect. All right. So we can proceed, right? Yes, we can proceed. Yes, we can. All right. All right. So moving forward, all right, we also have other operators that we can use to do what, to construct a more complicated conditions. And those operators are known as logical operators. Logical what? Operators. The and, the or, and the not. Is anyone that would love to explain to us how this operator works? We used it back then in high school. I am certain that all of us here used that operator back then in high school when we did the truth table. We used the and, the or, and the not. Is anyone that want to tell us how the and work? And someone will tell us how the or work, and someone else tell us how the not work. So who is coming up for and? All right, Miss Precious, come up for and.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Good, Good evening, ma.
The and is when two conditions that the two of them have for the
Two conditions are true.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. That's exactly how the and does work. It works when both parties are what are true. It means that what you have on the left hand side and what you have on the right hand side must be what must be true. Right? Must be true. Right. So who's coming up for all? Someone else, a male, please. Male, don't fall on hands now. Male, please.
The or is the reverse. So
okay,
if
Mr. Gaius. Is that Mr. Gaius?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Gaius' hand first. Oh, yeah, please, Mr. Gaius. Oh.
All right. Or is when either A or B is true, like someone even said in the comment section just now.
Oh, perfect.
One has
perfect.
to be true. If not, it's going to be not.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's how they all work. At least one of it must be what true for the whole expression to be what true. Perfect. So anyone for not? Anyone for not? Mr. Gaius, please up your hands. Anyone apart from Miss Precious and Mr. Gaius? Anyone? Someone else for not? Who is coming up? Not. Please raise your hand. I want you to talk, not in the comment section, but then talk. I want to hear your voice. Not. I refuse to open that comment section. Please, not. Someone should mute that mic and tell us not. No one. We not use not. Back then.
Not simply means
Please,
negation.
I believe that's not Miss Precious, right? Please, Miss Precious and Mr. Gaius, you are prohibited from actually talking. Someone else, please. Like I said, I refuse to open that comment section. Not.
Not means negation. So if something is not true, it's false. It alternates between the two Boolean operations. It is either true or false. So if you
Please, your name,
negate
sir.
true, you have. Oh, sorry. My name is Imo. So it's Imo Akam.
Imo Akam, perfect. Okay, so please say that not does what?
It's for negation. It negates between true or false. So
It
if you
negates
negate true,
true or false. Perfect. That is exactly how not works. So now I can now open the comment section. For those of us that are in the comments section. Mr. Benjamin, don't go forget what not to do. Ah, my God. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So what I want that have refused to admit our mic and have choose the comment section for combination, there's no problem. We are all correct. Right. So we are all correct. That's perfect. That is perfect. Those are how those operator works. And the good thing is that the way it is, that's how you use it in Python programming. You see how simple Python is. You see this AND operator in JavaScript, it is double ampersand. But in Python, we just type in and there as exactly the way it is. All right, so a quick one. All right, so if I have an expression like this, all right. If I have an expression like this, say happy, right, is the same thing as happy, and 5 is greater than or equals to 7. Please, what will be the result of this expression? The result of this expression.
False.
False. Okay, so we have false. We have one person for false. Please. Who else?
False.
False. So that is second false. Who else?
False.
The third false. Who else?
False.
The fourth false.
No, sorry. I think it's true.
Who else? One last person. Someone should go for true now. Who else? One last person. All right, so let's dissect this and let's see if truly this will give us false. So let's start from here. 5 greater than or equals to 7. Of course, that is false. So this man here will give us false. So if this man here is giving us false, automatically we don't even need to check the other one, so it's false, because for and to work, both sides must be true. For and to work, both sides must be true. All right, that's good. So let's see how you can actually use this in actual code. All right, so we have our mode here. Let's also assume that we also want to get age. So I'll copy the same thing again and then I'll modify it, right? I want our age not to be fixed, but then to be dynamic. So I'll put my age here. And then I'll type in your age. Type, or should I say enter your age. All right. And then I'll run this. And okay, within my program, I want to check if you're happy and your age, right, is above 18. Remember that age should be a number, right? I remember everything that comes in through this man here will come in as a string. So I could simply just typecast by saying age should be equals to the int of what? Of age. Is that okay? Typecasting. We did it in our last class. Because anything that comes in from the input function is a string. Please take that note. So note that down, please. Everything that's been passed into the program through the input function is coming in as a string. That means it's being quoted. So even if I execute this quote, this age is coming as a quote of age, and we cannot carry out this expression using what a quote of age, right? So we typecast it, and then we assign it back again to the variable called age. Is that okay? So that this expression can work. So if you are happy and you are above 18, we should tell you that's what you are happy. And if you're angry and your age is equals to 25, then it's not good. All right, so let's execute this, right? And let's see what we have. So I am happy, right? And my age is about 10. What will execute in this code? Let me bring this down. Which line of code will execute next? Which line of code will execute next? That is our source code up there. So which line of code will execute next after this? If I click enter now, which line of code will execute? So I'm saying do not be sad. Who else?
Sad.
Do not be sad.
Do not be sad.
Do not be sad. Okay, so let's see that. Of course, do not be sad. Exactly. Like, so we are all correct. Do not be sad, because I'm happy, no doubt, but then my age is not up to 18. So that means in order for me to be truly happy, I need to be happy, and then I need to be above 18 years, right? Same thing goes with anger and the rest of them. So I believe that by now we are already conversant with conditionals. Is there anyone that having difficulty? Conditionals. Anyone having difficulty with conditionals? Anyone? No one. All right. So I believe we like this one. We like conditionals. All right. So let's try one more thing. All right. So I would like to share this file with us. So let me just create a new file, because I want to try some. Let us play around with this, and we'll call this man save as plus 2 continue. All right. So let's assume I have this. Let's assume I have a variable called x equals to 100, right? And then I now say I need to display a certain message when x is greater than 10 and less than that, right? So now if I type this, is if x is better than this, or x is less than 100. So this should be 10, or this should be 1 rather, or say 0. Print, let me put my if there. Okay, or let me say if my if here. If x is less than that, just put it correct there for now. So looking at this code, right? Is this code semantically correct? Not syntactically, semantically correct. Is this code correct? Syntax based, yes, I believe. Is that correct? Okay, is this code correct, syntax based? If I execute this code, will it turn an error?
No.
No, sir.
It will execute correctly. Of course it will. That's correct. So if I execute this, of course it is correct. It executes correctly, right? But then is this code actually correct semantically? Look at
No.
it properly. It's not correct semantically. Why? Please, if you tell us no, you tell us why. If you tell us yes, you tell us why. So who said no? Please should tell us why he thinks it's not correct.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So why I said no was because the first condition is true, but second condition is not true. That's why I said it's no systematically.
Okay, so if I do this, would that be correct? Sorry, this. Would that make it correct?
Yes, that will make it correct.
It will be correct now. It will be correct.
Perfect. Any Mr. Imokan, I think your hand is raised. Can you come in? Or was that Imokan?
Yes, it's Morgan.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I feel the code being correct or not is not based on the actual result. So like you change from less than to you added equals to, but
Okay.
the code is correct because that Boolean operation is true. That's why it is printing.
Okay.
Correct. So I feel like the code is not really readable. So what should be done is maybe you can add braces. That's
Brace.
brackets to them. Bracket.
So the condition itself, like this.
Yeah.
Right. To each of them, right? Or to one of them?
No, to each of them, like X put those ones two in a
Each of
bracket.
them or one of them?
No, each of them.
Okay. All right. So that this will make it correct. Mr. Imok. All right. Who else? That's perfect. That's perfect. We are the females. I've heard from 2 male. Please, Miss Precious, you are permitted to talk now, please. We are the female. I think we had females in the class. Have they left us? One female, please. We are running out of time. One female. Anyone? One female must attempt that question. You have about 5 minutes left. One female. Okay, Miss Precious again. Please attempt the question.
Yes, sir. I feel like the code is correct because it satisfies one condition since you're using the or function. Yeah.
You think that it's correct since because we are using the or function or the
Yeah.
or
The or.
operator makes it correct.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So the code is syntactically correct because if you execute this code, it will execute without throwing syntax error. But then this code is not really correct because at this point, this code will remain true from now to the end of time. Because even if I change my x to be minus 1,000, this code will still be correct. Even if I change it again to 1 billion, this code will still be correct. Do you know why? Because if you're saying x is 1,000, it's probably how many is it should be so there's like 10 million there, right? So if x is 10 million, of course, x is what is greater than 0, and all need just one side to be true. So that to this becomes true. If I also say x is less than 10,000 million, of course, x is less than 100, right? Of course, this thing must be what true. So they know the key concept is to know when to use your or and your and. At this point, we need the and not the or. So the and make this semantically correct. Do you understand? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So that is basically conditionals. All right. And I'll leave it to us to practice and practice and practice. Okay, choose Zam. Your hand is up. You have a question? Please ask.
Yes, sorry, please. When I run my code, it doesn't come out on the output or the terminal tab. I don't know why.
Using VS Code is not coming out on the terminal part.
So I'm using VS Code.
And it's not coming up on terminal. Please send us a screenshot so that we can help ourselves. Where exactly is it coming up? Just send a screenshot so we can help ourselves. Right, so I think someone else's hand is up. Miss Precious, the hand is up. Question.
Good evening, sir. At least I have a little issue with the extension. I disable my extension and the code is not running.
Disable your extension and your code is not running.
Yes, I think I downloaded VS Code a long time ago, so I can't remember if I clicked on the add to path.
Right, please confirm that your VS Code have access to your interpreter by doing Ctrl+Shift+P and then select your interpreter. You should see recommended. Please click on that recommended. Or you see recommended or global.
I did it, and when I disabled my extension, the thing is not working.
Please send out a screenshot on Discord group, similar to the other person too that has the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
Send out a screenshot on Discord group and let us help ourselves there. Any other question? Any other question? No other question. All right. So, all right. In the absence of question, right? Mr. Cedric, I think your hand is up. Question.
It's on the same issues, yeah.
Sorry?
I'm trying to run my code on. Extension. So I don't actually.
You're trying to run your code on VS Code and it's not working. Mr. Cedric, I'm finding it difficult to hear you. Right. I think the shadow has left us behind. Right, so, Miss. Okay. Someone else hands up. So is this Mr. or Mrs.? Well, that name is quite long.
Miss, Mr. Sam.
Miss, please go ahead and ask the question, please.
I logged out, like the connection went bad when you were saying that the line is not correct. I didn't get what to be the correct one. I didn't get that part.
Okay, so the correct thing to that code was supposed to be an AND operator, not an OR operator. And the OR operator will make that statement to always be correct. Right. So the whole purpose of creating that range of 0 and 100 was not met. Right. So you should have used and not not. Sorry, and not all. Sorry. Right. Winnie, is that a miss or a mister? Your hand is up.
Winnie is a miss.
Is a miss. Okay.
I heard someone talking about the terminal issue. Earlier, someone suggested something on VS Code that if you're having that terminal or output issue, that you should click on the settings icon on your VS Code. It is the last icon at the bottom left.
Left, okay.
Then go to the settings. Then you can search for run in terminal.
Okay.
When you check it, it should work fine in your terminal.
Okay. All right. Are you having difficulty doing that? All right. Are we still having our hands up? Is there any other question?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Any other question? Okay, Miss. I don't know. I'm finding it hard to pronounce her name though. The hand is still up. Someone's hand is still up, please. If you know your hand is still up, please go ahead and unmute and ask a question. Oh, well, I don't want to make mistake.
So sorry, I can't share my screen. It's only you that can share screen. I wanted to share my screen. It says I can't.
Okay, and this is what you do, Mr. I think is that Mr. Shedrack?
No, Chinazom.
Chinazom. All right. Chinazom, so now drop that screenshot. Screenshot your screen. Drop it on Discord group. Let us discuss it. Right. So you're running out of. You have about 5 minutes left. Right. So.
All right. Thank you.
Drop. If you're having the same problem, please do your screenshot on the Discord. Let us communicate. Right. All right. Any other question?
So mine is on the issue of the same extension. It's not connecting. So I don't know how to connect my extension, the Python extension, to the VS Code.
Okay. Okay. So you've tried to execute your code on VS Code and it's not running, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Please show that your code on VS Code. Drop it on Discord, and I'll direct you on what to do. Just screenshot that page, the page where you have your code, like this. What I'm doing here. This. Where is it?
Okay.
Just screenshot this page like this as it is. Drop it on Discord, and I'll help you out from there.
Okay, sir.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So this is Liberty Akivie. What I wanted to ask is, can we get the material for these very courses?
Yes,
so
you mean the slides?
Yes, the slides. Okay, just came through.
Is that you will? I said that.
You were teaching us with a practical, so we didn't really go into the go into the slides themselves. So we can just read it off.
Okay, yeah, that will provide it.
Okay, sir.
Alongside with the previous class slides.
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. 3 more minutes. Any other question? Mr. Imo Akan, your hand is up.
Okay, it's not really a question. It's a question. Okay, so I was not in the previous class, and
Mr. Imo Akan,
I wanted to know
where were you in the previous class? You said that you're not there. Where were you?
Maybe I didn't remember. I can't even selective admission.
Okay.
So I don't know. After every class, do we always have a practice quiz or something? So that I feel like maybe if you give us something
a
to do.
practical, yes, there's a there will be a tax, right?
Okay.
It could come how do I put it? It could come standard that there will be a tax. It's unavailable.
Okay, thank
So
you.
tax is coming. Tax is coming. All right. I still can't pronounce this name though. Ediongwe. Sorry if I pronounced that wrongly. Your hand is still up. Okay, the hand is gone. All right, so I assume that there's no other question. All right, guys. So please do have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week ahead, and I will see us in the Discord group. I'm 100% available there. So if you have questions, just ask me there, and I'll respond. Yeah, as soon as I can.
Mr. Savior, sorry. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
Please, I didn't attend the first class. Is there a link to watch it? Because I was just here, but I need to do some practice. So I need to start from the first class.
Okay. The last class was recorded, so that will be released as well. But that will be released on YouTube, so you better watch it on YouTube. So where it's available, I'll update us. But in the meantime, you can still follow up. You can follow up KodeCamp on YouTube and then wait for when it's being dropped. Then you can just go there and watch it instantly.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much.
All right. So I'll assume that will be a last question. Please, guys, have a wonderful week ahead, and I'll see you guys next week, Monday, 7 p.m. West African time. And if you have any question, please do not hesitate. Ask on Discord group. Drop all the photos, the screenshots, everything, every problem you have on this life. Drop it there, and I will not every problem you have in this life, but every problem pertaining to Python programming, please. Pertaining to Python programming, drop it there, and I'll respond. All right, guys. So have a good night rest, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
All right.